The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of rain and fear. Officer Davis was gone, vanished. Matthew DeVito, the station's quiet cleaner, scrubbed at a stubborn coffee stain. It mirrored the darkness brewing inside the kettle left on Davis's desk. A simple, dented thing, it hummed with an unsettling energy. Whispers followed the kettle, whispers of a curse. 100 days, then dust. Matthew, a man of simple routines, scoffed. Curses were for fairy tales. He polished the kettle, the metal cold and unnerving beneath his touch. The whispers, however, wormed into his thoughts. He saw Officer Davis in his mind's eye, his usually vibrant presence now faded, almost translucent, like an old photograph. Matthew shivered. A trick of the light, he told himself. He resumed his cleaning, the kettle's shadow seeming to stretch and writhe in the dim light. The legend of the kettle was an old song in the city's underbelly. A song of wishes and a terrible price. 100 days of life granted in exchange for an eternity of silence. Those touched by the kettle, they said, appeared as ghosts in photographs. Their skin, cold and damp like a frog's. Matthew had always dismissed it as a morbid story, a way to scare children and keep them away from antique shops. But now, Officer Davis's disappearance gnawed at him. The whispers he'd tried to ignore grew louder, echoing the legend. 100 days, translucent skin. The image of Davis's last photograph, his smile strained, his eyes oddly vacant, flickered through Matthew's mind. His hand instinctively went to his own face, his fingers tracing the lines of his own reflection in the window. He looked the same, felt the same, yet a sliver of doubt wormed its way into his heart. Days bled into weeks. The city mourned Officer Davis, the mystery of his disappearance remaining unsolved. Matthew couldn't shake off the image of the kettle. He started noticing things, subtle shifts in his reflection, a faint translucence in his skin, especially in photographs. One morning he swore he saw his eyelashes, normally short and stubby, resembling those of a frog's, long, thin, almost translucent. Panic seized him. The curse, it was real. He needed help, someone who could decipher the whispers, someone who wouldn't dismiss his fears as madness. His gaze fell upon a newspaper article about a young computer programmer, Hannah Smart, renowned for cracking complex codes and algorithms. Maybe, just maybe, she could help him crack the code of the cursed kettle. He held on to that hope, a fragile lifeline in the face of the encroaching darkness. Hannah listened, her skepticism slowly giving way to concern as Matthew laid out his story, his voice trembling with urgency. The visions, the translucent skin, the frog-like eyelashes, it was a lot to process, but there was a desperate sincerity in his eyes that she couldn't ignore. She agreed to help. They started by delving into the history of the kettle, tracing its origins through dusty archives and forgotten folklore. The visions Matthew described, a fragile koala bear, a hooded toad, an old well, seemed random, disconnected. Yet Hannah sensed a pattern, a hidden language waiting to be deciphered. As they dug deeper, Hannah too began experiencing strange occurrences, cold sweats, fleeting visions of a shadowy figure, and an unsettling dampness to her touch, as if she'd just run her hand over a frog's skin. The curse, it seemed, had latched onto her as well. Now, bound by a shared fate, they raced against time, the clock ticking away their remaining days, desperate to unravel the secrets of the kettle and break the curse before it consumed them both.